even thought something was wrong with you. But what if I told you? This wasn't a breakdown. It was a breakthrough. This was never a malfunction. This was a divine interruption. A quiet, holy move of God. You're not broken. You're not empty. You're not losing something. You're being cleansed. You're being separated. You're being refined for something sacred. Because when God prepares a chosen one for something eternal, he often starts by removing the things that tied them to the temporary. And that includes desire. Yes, even that one. In this message, you're going to uncover 9 divine reasons why your sexual desire disappeared, and why this shift is not random, but prophetic. Some of these reasons will shake you, some will free you, and some will confirm what your spirit always knew. But your mind couldn't understand. Stay until the end, because the final reason might just unlock your divine assignment, the one heaven's been waiting for you to remember. And before we begin, if your spirit's already feeling something stir, hit that like button as an act of agreement. Subscribe if you haven't, because this is not just content, it's calling. And comment 99 below. Why 99? Because heaven leaves the 99 to chase the 1. And right now, it just found you. Let's begin with the first truth, and it's deeper than you expect. When God selects a vessel for something uncommon, he must first strip it from everything that would pollute its purpose. That means distractions. That means attachments. And yes, that means desires that once felt natural but now feel silent. Because what you're carrying isn't ordinary. It's not for mass consumption. It's not even for now. It's for kingdom impact. God doesn't anoint what's still tangled in the noise of the flesh. He anoints what's been emptied, set apart, and consecrated. And maybe that's what he's doing with you right now. Not punishing you, but preparing you. Because here's the truth. Sexual desire is not evil, but it can become a counterfeit fire when it's fueled by the wrong source. And chosen ones? They were never called to burn like the world. They were called to burn like the altar. This isn't about suppression. It's about transformation. God is not asking you to kill a part of yourself. He's asking you to surrender it, so he can purify it, redeem it, and eventually reignite it for divine purpose. There are people walking around right now full of charisma, influence, and passion, but they'll never step into their true destiny because their vessel is still dripping with residue from unfiltered desires. But you've been emptied for a reason. You've been quieted inside so that heaven can speak. You didn't lose your passion. It's being rewired, redirected, reprogrammed to carry something much, much heavier, because God doesn't place holy oil on unprepared altars. And you're not just being cleansed, you're being commissioned. Be holy, for I am holy. That's not just a command, it's a prophetic clue. Holiness is not about restriction, it's about activation. It's about being trusted with what others can't even perceive. And the absence of desire in your body, it's the announcement that heaven is getting your spirit ready. But here's the twist most never expect. Sometimes the purification doesn't just make you clean, it makes you dangerous. And in the next reason, you'll understand exactly why. Let's go deeper now. Because what you thought was a shift in your body was actually a shield over your spirit. Sex is not just physical. It's not just chemistry. It's not just human instinct. Sex is spiritual architecture. Every encounter builds something, a bridge, a bond, a battlefield. And here's the mystery most people never discern. Desire is a doorway. Behind some doors, there is love, covenant, and alignment. But behind others, there are spirits waiting to drain, distort, and detour your destiny. When God removed your desire, he wasn't denying you pleasure. He was denying the enemy access. Because not every connection is harmless. Some smiles carry contracts. Some attractions are assassins in disguise. And one moment of giving in can leave your soul tangled for years. God saw what you couldn't. The manipulation dressed as romance. The soul tie wrapped in charm. The demonic trap that looked like, finally, someone understands me. So he did what only a loving father could do. He shut the door before you even reached for the handle. What you felt as something missing was actually heaven removing a hidden threat. This is not rejection. It's interception. Your lack of sexual desire right now isn't a deficiency. It's a divine firewall. A supernatural barrier keeping your soul from absorbing energies that would slow your calling, poison your clarity, or even reroute your entire life path. Because energy transfers are real. And when two souls collide, something always gets exchanged. But when you've been chosen, there are certain exchanges heaven simply will not permit. You're not just being protected from people. You're being protected from possessions, from spirits hiding in people, from frequencies that carry curses, from pleasure that opens portals. You didn't lose desire. You gained discernment. And that is a power most will never know. Because here's the twist. The enemy doesn't always need to attack you directly. Sometimes all he needs is for you to desire the wrong person at the right time. But heaven said no. And the silence you've been feeling, it's not emptiness. It's a force field. And it's about to make even more sense when you realize what you're being spiritually trained for next. This moment in your life. It's not a void. It's not silence. It's not a punishment. It's a fasting. A divine, holy, and invisible consecration. You see, when God is getting ready to elevate someone, he doesn't start with miracles. He starts with detachment. And right now, God is detaching you from what once ruled your senses. Not because desire is evil, but because appetite must be mastered before authority is given. You're not in a dry spell. You're in a sacred season. Chosen ones are often called into temporary spiritual celibacy, not as a denial, but as a declaration. God is saying, I'm retraining your hunger. I'm redirecting your cravings, not toward what satisfies for a night, but what equips you for eternity. This is not about losing attraction. This is about gaining alignment. He's not removing pleasure. He's reordering priority. Because before you can carry glory, you must learn to live unmoved by the flesh. Before you can speak to nations, you must prove that your spirit leads, not your impulses. This is fasting of the soul, and it's not visible to others. They won't understand why you're no longer interested, why you no longer chase, flirt, or fantasize like you used to. But in the spirit realm, there's a silence forming around you, a quiet fire. A new frequency. You are learning to feed from heaven. That lack of desire is not weakness, it's strength under divine control. Because when you stop reaching for what once satisfied your flesh, you start becoming dangerous to darkness. You're learning to fast from temporary flames, so you can walk in eternal fire. And here's the mystery. Many people fast from food, some from media. But very few are chosen to fast from desire itself. Only those whom heaven wants to entrust with pure power. You're being emptied, not for deprivation, but for divine infilling. You're not just enduring a quiet season. You're being trained to hunger for what cannot be corrupted. And when that hunger finally awakens, it won't be for pleasure. It will be for purpose. And that's exactly what the enemy fears most. A vessel with nothing to prove, but everything to release. But it's what comes after this fasting season that reveals just how rare your calling really is. What if what you've been calling loneliness is actually a sacred invitation? What if God hasn't removed intimacy from your life, but is redefining it? There are moments when the Spirit doesn't just whisper. He pulls, he removes, he separates, not to punish, but to possess. Because there's a kind of intimacy that no relationship can give you, no touch can simulate, no connection can replace. It's called divine intimacy, and it's reserved for those God wants to dwell inside, not just walk beside. When he silences your longing for earthly affection, it's not rejection. It's a calling deeper. He's saying, before you share your soul, let me fill it. Before you love another, let me show you what eternal love feels like. Because only those who have loved God first can love others without conditions, without idolatry, without confusion, without need. You're being drawn into the secret place, and that place isn't crowded. It's not noisy. It's not flirtatious. It's raw. It's holy. It's surgical. It's beautiful. You were never meant to seek intimacy from the world before experiencing it with the one who created your soul. And now, God is reclaiming his place, not just in your life, but in your affections. He's jealous for your heart, not out of insecurity, but out of divine right, because you were his before you were anyone else's, and your heart was never meant to be handled by untrained hands. So he removed the longing, not because he doesn't want you to connect, but because he wants to connect with you first, to teach you what it feels like to be seen fully, to be loved without agenda, to be touched in places no human can reach. This isn't isolation. It's intimacy beyond the veil. He's wooing you into a relationship where your value isn't based on attraction, performance, or approval, but presence. Because once you've tasted divine intimacy, you can never again settle for emotional scraps. You will never again chase empty hands or beg for attention from broken people. You've been chosen to carry a love that doesn't just comfort, it transforms. And that kind of love must be received before it can be given. Right now, you're not being kept from love. You're being consumed by it, from the inside out. And once this season completes its work in you, you won't crave connection. You'll carry it. But what happens when you've been set apart for that level of intimacy, and the world still tries to pull you back? That is where the next revelation begins. Look around. What do you see? A world addicted to stimulation, chasing pleasure like it's salvation, calling lust, love, and emptiness, freedom. Everywhere you turn, it's the same song. Follow your desires. Do what feels good. Feed the flesh. Starve the soul. But what happens when your desire disappears? What happens when the thing the world worships suddenly stops stirring inside you? Let me tell you what it means. You've been set apart, not abandoned, consecrated. Because when God wants to use someone to confront the current of a generation, he first disconnects them from its power. And that's what's happening to you. The system lost its grip on your soul. You're not moved by what moves the crowd anymore. You're not impressed by what impresses the masses. While others are intoxicated by appearance, you crave alignment. While the world is screaming for attention, your spirit is yearning for assignment. Your lack of desire isn't a weakness. It's a prophetic symptom. Proof that God is rewiring you from within. You're being upgraded from reactor to reformer. Chosen ones don't blend in. They break cycles. They interrupt generational patterns. They walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere without saying a word. But to carry that kind of authority, you can't be driven by the same impulses as everyone else. You can't crave what they crave. You can't chase what they chase. And so, heaven stepped in and removed the bait. The very thing the enemy has been using to trap and seduce generations, God just ripped it out of your appetite. You're no longer seducible, because you've been sealed, marked by fire, chosen for confrontation. This world is loud, but you've been taught silence. This world is thirsty, but you've been satisfied in secret. This world is obsessed with being wanted, but you've been called to be holy. You're not just different, you're dangerous to every spirit that thrives in lust, addiction, and confusion. Because you are walking proof that it's possible to live above the system and still burn with purpose. And that's why the enemy hates you. Because you're not enslaved. You're free in a way the world doesn't understand. But this is only the halfway point. Because the second half of this revelation goes even deeper. Into healing, identity, destiny, and one hidden reason that could change how you see your entire past. Ready? Then stay with me. Because what's coming next is going to reveal the war you didn't even know you survived. Not every desire comes from passion. Not every craving is rooted in love. And not every fire inside you was placed there by God. Some desires were born from wounds, not will, not calling, not design, but pain. And when God begins to remove those desires, you may feel confused, disconnected, even ashamed. But what's really happening is that God is reaching down into the places no one else sees and beginning a healing process that words could never explain. Because the truth is, many people learn to associate love with pain, touch with abandonment, desire with validation. They weren't pursuing pleasure. They were chasing worth, trying to feel alive, trying to be seen, trying to reclaim something that was stolen. And that might be your story too. Maybe your desire wasn't natural. It was survival. Maybe you gave yourself away not because you wanted to, but because you didn't know you had value unless someone else wanted you. But God is undoing all of that. He's not taking your desire to punish you. He's taking it because it wasn't truly yours to begin with. It was planted by trauma, shaped by rejection, fueled by memories you never chose to carry. And now, God is saying, you don't need this anymore. You don't need the fake high. You don't need the hollow validation. You don't need to use your body to prove your soul deserves love. You are already loved. You are already chosen. You are already whole. This is not about morality. It's about healing at the root. God is reaching into your memories, into your teenage years, into that moment you never talk about, and he's saying, enough. This is where the pain ends. This is where the confusion breaks. This is where the real you rises. The removal of your desire is not rejection. It's a rescue mission. He's not just silencing urges, he's breaking chains, and he's restoring your identity in ways no person, relationship, or experience ever could. Because once the wound heals, you'll realize you were never unlovable. You were just lied to. And now, you're finally starting to remember who you were before the pain spoke for you. But what happens when healing gives way to revelation? When your silence becomes a mirror, and you finally see who you really are? That is what we'll confront in the next chapter. And it will change the way you see your reflection, forever. Sometimes, the greatest revelation doesn't come when something is added to your life, but when something is taken away. And in your case, God didn't subtract desire to punish you. He did it to reveal you, the real you, the one the world never taught you to see. Because for too long, your identity has been buried beneath impulse, expectation, and confusion. For too long, your reflection has been distorted by what culture says you should feel, want, and chase. But now, God is clearing the fog. Not just to change your behavior, but to awaken your birthright. You are not defined by your urges. You are not your cravings. You are not your moments of weakness. You are eternity wrapped in skin. You are a spirit before you are a body. You are divine purpose, walking. And when God pulls back the veil of fleshly desire, it's not just to discipline you, it's to show you what's underneath, what's been there the whole time, but covered by noise. Heaven is holding up a mirror and asking, can you see it now? The royalty, the radiance, the prophetic signature on your life. The reason you've always felt different, misunderstood, unmatched. It's because you are. This absence of desire you've been feeling, it's not emptiness. It's identity activation. God is silencing the voice of the flesh so the voice of the Spirit can finally speak, louder, clearer, stronger. And that voice is saying, you were never created to be driven. You were created to lead. You are not a prisoner of passion. You are a carrier of presence. You're not here to survive temptation. You're here to expose it, to stand tall in a generation enslaved by identity confusion, and declare by your very existence, I know who I am. Because once you know who you are, desire loses its grip. You stop begging to be chosen, and you start walking like the one who was already sealed. This isn't just clarity, it's a spiritual rebirth. And with every layer God peels away, another dimension of your destiny becomes visible. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Once you know who you are, heaven begins to reveal why you're here. And that revelation is coming next. And it will explain why God didn't just protect your purity. He preserved your future. This world teaches you to chase connection, swipe, search, settle. It celebrates chemistry without covenant, passion without purpose. But heaven doesn't operate on desperation, it operates on destiny. And when you are chosen, your path to love doesn't look like the world's. It's not rushed, it's not random, it's reverent. So what if I told you? The disappearance of your desire wasn't a delay, it was preservation. Yes, chosen one. You're not just being protected, you're being preserved. Because when God handwrites a union, he guards both vessels until they're ready to carry the weight of divine purpose. Together. That means no counterfeits, no distractions disguised as affection, no early ignitions that burn out before the mission begins. You may feel like you're waiting too long, but in reality, God is preparing something too sacred to arrive on human timing. And part of that preparation is you. Right now, your desire has been paused. Not because something's wrong, but because something holy is being set aside. Just for you. Heaven is not just aligning your path, it's aligning your person. Someone who carries the same fire, the same clarity, the same call. Someone who won't just excite your body, but edify your spirit. And until that day comes, God is preserving your fire. Because when two chosen ones unite, it's not just romance. It's a revelation. It's warfare. It's legacy. It's kingdom. And anything that touches your life before that moment must be filtered through God's yes. So that means your purity right now is not a cage. It's a container. It's holding the oil, the wisdom, the restraint, the discernment. All the things you'll need when that one God-aligned person enters your atmosphere. And something ancient inside you finally remembers them. And when that fire is reignited, it won't burn recklessly. It will burn with purpose. Because you weren't created for temporary passion. You were created for eternal partnership. And right now, you're not being withheld from love. You're being shaped by it, formed by the very hands that know exactly when to release it. But what if this waiting, this preservation, was just the beginning of something even more powerful? What if your silence has been building up to a spiritual assignment that only a few can carry? That revelation is what we're stepping into next. Let this sink in. You are not ordinary, and the life God is shaping for you was never meant to be understandable to the masses. There's a reason your path feels different. Your thoughts feel deeper, your silence feels heavier, and your desires, or the sudden lack of them, don't match the patterns of the world around you. This is not dysfunction. This is divine distinction. Because prophets, true prophets, don't blend in. They're not wired like everyone else. Tension inside them, and part of that tension is this. They often walk through long seasons of solitude, where even their most natural appetites are silenced, not by choice, but by calling. The absence of sexual desire in your life right now is not a glitch in your humanity. It's a signal from heaven, a signpost that you've crossed into territory that very few are invited to walk. Because prophets must hear what others can't hear, see what others can't see, and carry what others aren't willing to feel. And to do that, God often strips them of what would cloud their clarity. He doesn't want you distracted by longing, entangled in emotional chaos, or bound by invisible soul contracts. He wants your spirit sharp, your atmosphere clean, your vessel ready. So while the world equates lack of desire with weakness, God calls it warrior discipline. You're not being starved, you're being positioned. Positioned for downloads, for divine instructions, for unexplainable encounters in the middle of the night that no one else would believe unless they had lived through the silence you've endured. You've been called into a prophetic lifestyle, and with that comes a supernatural sensitivity, a heightened discernment, a different kind of fire, one that doesn't burn for pleasure, but for purpose, one that doesn't seek validation, but seeks vision. The absence of desire is not the absence of destiny. It's proof that your destiny is too heavy to be diluted. God has unplugged you from the noise so he can tune you to his frequency, and that tuning requires silence, it requires stillness, it requires trust. You are not being overlooked, you're being overloaded with glory, prepared to carry words that shift nations, to walk into places and expose darkness without even speaking, to live a life that looks strange on the outside, but makes angels rejoice behind the veil. You are not less spiritual because you don't desire what others do. You are more set apart than most are willing to be. And the silence you've been walking in, it's not empty. It's sacred ground, and something is about to be birthed from that stillness. But before we close this journey, there's one more moment that must happen. Because everything you've heard until now has been leading to a final prophetic unlocking. Get ready. Because the conclusion isn't just an ending. It's the beginning of the life you were actually born to live. Chosen one. Can you feel it now? That stillness inside you. It was never the absence of life. It was the presence of God building something eternal. You were never losing fire. You were being refined by it. Every unanswered question, every silent night, every time you wondered, what's wrong with me? Heaven was whispering, nothing is wrong. Something holy is being awakened. You were not rejected. You were recruited. This was not biology. This was strategy from the throne. A supernatural recalibration of your soul, a dismantling of the temporary to make room for something that will outlast time. God didn't remove your desire to punish you. He removed it to position you. He cut the cords that would keep you tethered to what's fleeting. And instead, he began sculpting you for what is unshakable. You were never meant to crave like the crowd. You were meant to carry what they can't comprehend. You're not just different. You are dangerous to every darkness you were born to dismantle. So hear this as a prophetic charge to your soul. You are sacred space. You are divine territory. You are a spiritual warrior in training. You are the answer to prayers your ancestors cried in silence. You are the one hell couldn't seduce because heaven already sealed you. And now, you rise. Not as a slave to desire, but as a vessel of destiny. The world won't understand it. They're not supposed to, because what lives inside you was authored in realms they've never seen. If your spirit feels this, if something deep within you just broke free, comment below. I've been chosen for something higher. Let that declaration echo through the algorithm. Let it awaken others who've been silently wondering if something was wrong with them. No, something was right. So right that heaven had to protect it at all costs. Your silence wasn't emptiness. It was preparation for explosion. And now, the world better prepare. Because a chosen one who knows who they are is uncontainable. Go, walk in it, shake dimensions. Your time has begun.